Welcome to The Experience, live with Russ and Scott. Join us every Wednesday at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Learn more about The Experience community at our website, local.theexperience.video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Experience is brought to you each week by these great sponsors. Jim Coolman Insurance. Since 2003, focusing on auto, home, and life insurance. Contact Jim and his team at 541-753-2500 or online at jimcoolman.com. Capital Mortgage Source. Your trusted mortgage professional is just a click away. Call 541-829-8042 or capitalmortgagesource.com. Albany Area Habitat for Humanity is partnered with families, volunteers, donors, businesses, and community organizations to create safe, affordable housing. AlbanyAreaHFH.org. James Reed Agency, specializing in comprehensive coverage for nonprofits, ministries, small businesses, and personal lines of coverage across the Northwest. JamesReedAgency.com or call 503-588-8229. And now let's get on with the show. And here we
are getting on with the show. Hey, everybody, Russ here and Scott with The Experience, live with Russ and Scott every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Happy to be here. And Scott, such a blessing to be with you. You know what? We've had some ins and outs and ups and downs between the two of us. And so it's nice to be back together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will just tell you that life is less daunting when you have friends. And so thank you for being my friend, Russ. Hey, I just want to say that we have a fabulous guest today. Mark Maynor is going to come on. One of the things we're going to talk about is music, but the music for The Experience Local, your shows. We're fortunate to have a Grammy and Dove nominated musician, your son, to create our music for us. And Mark's going to talk about why you want your own music.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's amazing to have somebody to be able to do that for us with, and it also keeps the cost down, but no, it's just a blessing. But Mark does so much amazing stuff. Mark is just really, really doing a lot of great things. He's going to talk more about that, but we had so much fun chatting with him and getting to know him at PodFest. Just really glad to have him here today. I just want to remind everybody, though, we're here every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time for your viewing and listening pleasure. That's right. After we go live, it sits on LinkedIn, YouTube forever, Facebook for 30 days. And then if you don't have time to watch, guess what? You can listen because it goes to audio podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, on and on and on. Whatever your favorite podcast platform is, you can listen to it. So please like, share, and engage and comment no matter where you like to listen. We'd love to have your input. And Scott, we're just so thankful to have such a wonderful community, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got such great support. We're in year 6 of The Experience, and it's made possible because we've got these great sponsors like the Albany Area Habitat for Humanity. Our good friend Jim Coleman has been with us for a long time. Capital Mortgage Source, James Reed Agency, and PresentGifting.com. So with Present Gifting, you will always remember those important, those special events for those important people in your life. PresentGifting.com is now available as a free service. So I encourage people to go there and sign up. It's free. And free, as they say, is a very good price.
Free is a very good price. Who said there's nothing free, right? There you go, Scott. Appreciate that. Well, Scott, before we get moving on, do you have anything exciting going on this week?
You know, it's been fun. I met with a potential client, a referral last week, and then just meeting with clients this week. It's good to kind of be in a rhythm. And, you know, we often talk about habits, routines, and rituals in your life, things that ground you, that center you, that keep you focused and moving forward. And I encourage people, find those things that get you centered every day. And That's what makes a difference. So today I've got, after the experience backstage, which is on Instagram with our friend Shree, we do that. We come here and we get to hang out and talk to cool people like Mark Maynor. Then I'll go over to Startup Waco. Then we'll have a present gifting meeting. And then this afternoon, the Waco networking group. So it's going to be a full day.
Wow, you do have a full day. That is so awesome. I have amazing online meetings with new people today. Wednesdays is one of my favorite days because after this, I get to jump on and meet a bunch of new people. My calendar still gets completely full. And so that's why we have so many wonderful guests, because I meet so many amazing people. So it's been a blessing. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, I just want to thank everybody who's been praying for me. I have radiation a week from Friday. So thanks so much for the prayers, and knowing God is going to take care of things. I'm completely confident. So just happy to be here, really feeling good overall, and thankful for that. Good results from the CT scan yesterday, Scott. Nothing new, no organs with cancer in them, just in my brain this time. So we'll get that taken care of.
Well,
So-
yeah, we've got a plan to get that taken care of. And I'm going to remind people that they can learn more about this show by going to local.theexperience.video. And we do have sponsors, but we're also member supported. And so if you go to local.theexperience.video, you can find right there in the middle a spot where you can click and contribute and help support this great program.
Absolutely. You know what? There's definitely a cost to our team, the production costs. And so we thank you. We really are so thankful to those of you who reach out. It is important to have positive voices out there. And so we love that. We bring great value because, like Scott says, we have the most amazing guests. And speaking of guests, we're going to bring our most amazing guest in today, Mr. Mark Maynor, and get this show started. You ready, Scott?
Let's do it.
Okay, Mark, we got a big intro for you, Mark. So here we go. You ready? All right.
All right.
There you go. The crowd's going wild already. Mark, how you doing?
That was awesome. Hey, guys, how you doing? My two favorite people from Podfest. I mean, such an honor to be here with you. And I was so blessed to have met both of you at Podfest. And I just learned a lot and gained a lot from you guys.
You know, Mark, we met early on because there's an app that they send out so you can get connected with people. And then we were in a Zoom meeting together, and we just found some commonality. And you arranged for us to speak sequentially at Podfest. And to remind people, Podfest is the longest running in-person podcaster conference in the world. And I believe this year, in 2027, that's going to be the year 13.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah. You and I met on that Zoom call. I noticed that you were doing a talk similar to my topic. And so I said, hey, let's compare notes. And we realized that they really fit well together. So I asked them if there was a way we could be in the same room and back to back. And somehow they said yes. So everything went from there.
It's good to have powerful friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you know, Mark, if I need somebody with pull, I'm coming to you.
I'm from the school. If you don't ask, you won't get anything. So you might as well. There was nothing to lose. So I figured I'd try it. They were actually, they thought it was great. They were excited about it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Great.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, listen, let's start from the beginning. For those people that don't know you, we know how awesome you are, but who is Mark Maynor? What are you up to?
I am, my background is radio. And that's really a lot of where my experiences come from. I've done for 25 years. I've done productions for radio, a lot of morning shows, talk shows, a lot of jingles, parody songs, imaging. If you don't know what imaging is, it's sort of that crazy style of production you hear on a radio station. They'll do something like, you're listening to Q105 and a bunch of sound effects, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, not your mother's rock and roll and that kind of stuff. So crazy stuff like that, stuff for marketing companies, and all that. My bread and butter is a niche that I sort of fell into by accident, which is I do routine mixes for competitive dance teams and cheer teams all over the world. including NFL teams, college teams, all that kind of thing. And it's a very interesting business
Wow,
for
that is
local
interesting.
artists and that kind of thing. And I got into the podcast thing really, but quite by accident. And so my mission with that is I really want to bring audio branding to people, and that's my radio background, because I feel like in podcasting, that's one place where we're lacking, is the production end of it. And I realized even before Russ, I heard that your son did your music. When I heard your opening, I realized that, they get it. They get branding, and they're doing something different compared to most podcasters. So,
well, that's kind.
yeah. So I really, when I go to Podfest and things like that, I really try to let people know that as podcasters, that's one place that we are behind radio.
In obviously a lot of skills transfer from radio, which has been going on for decades,
Yes.
to podcasting, which is relatively newer, but the podcasting tools, the ability to record audio, video, and share it out, has really democratized the opportunity for people to share messaging. But we need to go back and learn some of these, I'll say relearn or incorporate some of these fundamentals. And when we talk about audio branding, one of the things that people can really grab a hold of and understand what that means is that somebody in another room turns on the television and logs into their Netflix accounts, and you hear that, and
Yes.
know they just started Netflix. You don't need to be in the room.
Exactly.
So let's talk more about this and how powerful that is.
I'm glad you said that, because that is the point. And what I find amazing is when I talk to people at Podfest, I have a room full of podcasters, and the first question I will ask is, how many of you know what audio branding is? And maybe one hand will go up. And I always find that interesting, because I look at them and I say, you all know what audio branding is. And then I'll say, what if I played this for you? What would be the first thing that comes to your mind? And I play it, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. And they go, McDonald's. I go, yeah. I said, you heard 5 notes, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. No lyrics, just 5 notes, not even really music, because I play the a cappella version. And immediately you went to a product, McDonald's. And then I ask them, what if you're driving down the street and you see a red sign with golden arches? What would you think of? They'll say McDonald's. I say, exactly. That red sign is a logo, and that's a visual brand. The ba-dum, bum, bum, bum is an audio brand. They're both brands. And I said, now imagine putting that logo and that ba-dum, bum, bum, bum together. And then I bring up Netflix, which you just talked about. The N from Netflix comes to the screen, and as it does, the ba-dum. And that's powerful. And then what I love to ask them is, I'll say, how many of you have a podcast that is audio only, that there's no video portion? Half the room's hands will go up usually. And I'll say, can we see your logo? Can we see your, the logo that you use for your podcast? They'll say, no. I'll say, can we see your beautiful website? No. Can't see your beautiful face. We can't see your set. So what other choices do you have for branding? There's not a lot of other options. And then I'll say, how many of you have a podcast that involves video? The other half hands usually go up. I usually get 50-50. And I'll say, well, then you have the ability to combine audio and visual. But what if I'm driving in my car and I'm listening to your podcast? Your audio portion of your podcast has to carry the show at this point, because I can't see your visuals. So in my mind, I can't understand a reason why you wouldn't consider being interested in an audio brand. And just as you said, Scott, that's where someone is driving or they're in the room and the music comes on for the experience live with Russ and Scott. People say, oh my gosh, it's on. I've got to get to the TV. Another example I love to use is when Friends, remember the TV show Friends?
Mm-hmm.
When it was very popular in the 90s, it was must-see TV. So you're in your kitchen, you're getting some chips or making a sandwich, and you hear the theme song come on. And, oh my gosh, I got to get to the couch. I want to catch the opening of the show. That's the kind of excitement. That's the kind of experience that you want from your listener. And once you say that to people, then they're very tied in and very interested. And it's hard to get podcasters. One thing I think as podcasters, we tend to follow each other. We tend to do what we feel everyone else is doing. And I think that's hard for people sometimes to get out of that box and to get away from like royalty-free music, which is, I would say, 90% of podcasters, that's what they use for their music, is royalty-free music. And there's concerns with that. Royalty-free music was never meant for what we do. It's meant for like B-roll for video. It's meant for background music. And that brings up a lot of licensing concerns as well with royalty-free music. So it really wasn't meant for that. And the other thing is, I get people say, well, I download royalty-free music, and can't that be my brand? And I'll say, as long as no one else downloads that same track and uses it. And then they look at me with big eyes, and I'm like, and the other thing is, it's not designed. It's not dynamic. It's not designed to grab people. Royalty-free music, like I said, is background music. It was meant for video. It's meant for one video, one use. It's not meant to be repeated on episodes. And it's background. And one thing I talk about with audio, what I do when I design a brand for someone, the level of music, the level of voiceovers, the level of singing, sound effects, whatever is in their production is pretty much the same level. I don't throw the music in the background, but I make everything sort of dance so that the vocals, the singing, the sound effects, they all work together, as opposed to throwing, I tell people, why throw your brand in the background? You wouldn't throw your logo way, this big. You'd have it a big banner behind you on your set or whatever. So those kind of things, if I can get in front of people, they get it. And then they become very interested in looking at that. So it's kind of frustrating, but it's also exciting.
Well, I love what you say, because I'm a huge fan of being consistent, and we've used the music for the experience I have with Russ and Scott since the beginning. And so I think at this point, people that know us know that music, which is great, but people don't think about that too often. I think people, they're not really consistent with what they do, and they don't think of the impact, even though they know things like what you mentioned, Mark. You hear the music for Friends, you hear the music for whatever it's going on, McDonald's, Nike, whatever, and it just comes to mind immediately.
Right.
And that's what you really need. And it's a unique talent, something that people don't think of. That's why they need you, right?
Yeah. I'm about trying to grab people at the beginning. One thing that I find interesting when I talk to people at things like Podfest is I'll talk about radio a lot. And people will say, I don't want to be competing with radio. And I tell them, you are competing with radio. And they'll be, oh no, radio is different. And I'm like, no, radio isn't really very different, because the line between radio and podcast is blurred. And I bring up an example there's a local morning show in Tampa called the MJ Morning Show. It's the #1 morning show in Tampa. And I've been working with them for maybe 22 years. I do all their jingles, their parody songs, all their crazy stuff. They're a typical morning show. They do morons in the news and current events and a lot of humor. And that show runs from 6 to 10, Monday through Friday, live every day. Well, I'd say by 12:30, that show has been edited and is on all of the same streaming platforms that podcasts are. So it's now become a podcast. It's not really a radio show anymore, a live radio show. It's a podcast. And so I tell people that, because if, let's say, you do a podcast and you do a morning show style of podcast where you do morons in the news, you do crazy current events with humor and things, and I'm on Buzzsprout or YouTube or any place that has podcasts, and I'm flipping to find something, I want to find something of that genre, I'm going to listen for 10, 15 seconds and decide what I want to hear. And when I hear the MJ Morning Show, I know that intro is exciting. It grabs you. It's meant to get the listener hyped up at 6 a.m. on their way to work or whatever, as opposed to I flip to the next one. And if it has some royalty-free music, that's just this bland sort of straight music with no change. And I'm going to flip back to the other one. And it might not be the best show, but it's going to be the one that grabs my attention. And so that's kind of important. One of the times I was talking to a group, and a girl said to me, she says, well, I have a podcast and I don't feel like I compete with radio. So I don't think I have a reason to worry about it. And I said, well, all of those talk show stations on radio that you see, they have those weekend shows, and there's always a finance show and there's always a real estate show on the weekend. And I said, so those shows the live shows get downloaded and streamed on the same place your real estate show is on. So if you're looking to compete with them, then you have to find a way to attract people and engage people. And as you said, Russ, with consistency, keep people, because once they know what your brand is, then for your podcast, you want to put that on your intro, your outro, any of the transition bumpers you might use on your website, on your promos, on your YouTube shorts. Everything that you do should have those elements so that people consistently hear that audio brand and they relate that to your show.
And it's, you talk about the songs and stuff that you do. And I know Russ will know this because he's there in the Willamette Valley, and there is a plumbing company, Albin's Plumbing, been around forever. And Russ might even be able to sing the song, call Albin's Plumbing, call 753-8282, right? Music helps us remember things, right?
Yes.
That's we teach the alphabet in a sing-song manner, so our little ones will remember it. So let's talk about how people could come to you, Mark, and say, look, I've got this course. I want people to remember it. Take us through a little process. What would you do with them to help them make some music that makes things memorable?
Well, the first thing I do is I do a little research on them. I will talk to them and kind of, usually I like to do just a meeting with them, basically, whether it's on Zoom or by phone, or if they're local, and I can sit down with them. I like to find out what their show's about, their podcast, or whatever we're talking about is. I'll go to their website, just kind of get as much information as I can. And I try to see if I can get to what vibe they're looking for and what would be something that would work for them, because not everything needs to be in your face, exciting, crazy, opening kind of stuff. It's the topic might be a little different, more serious topic or something. So then what I do is what I call a scratch demo. Is I'll put together, if it involves a jingle, it involves a song or music, I'll put together something that's very simple, maybe one instrument, one vocal, and it's not usually going to be the ending vocal. And then I'll present it to them to say, what do you think about the melody? What do you think about the lyrics? What do you think about going this direction? And then we kind of flush it out from there. A good example is a couple of years ago, I met a woman named Dawn Beam, and she has a podcast called Hope in Mississippi. And she was really interesting. She is a retired Supreme Court judge, Mississippi judge, not United States Supreme Court. And she has this podcast. It's amazing. It's basically a place to get help. If you need home, if you need housing, if you need shoes, if you need clothes or food, it's a place that there's references. She has contacts to help people. And so she came to me after my presentation and said, look, I want you to put together something for my podcast. And she was very detailed. She wanted timpani rolls. She wanted drama. She wanted voiceovers. She wanted a jingle. She wanted something that would touch the heartstrings and would be exciting, but not over the top. And so I talked with her. I checked her website, and I got lucky on that one, and I hit it on the first try. That was one of the rare times I did a full production out of the box, because as a business person, as you know, doing a full production, you spend money doing it. And so if she would have said, I don't like it, then I would have had to go back and redo it. But I just felt like that was the best way to give her the vibe of that one, as opposed to a typical demo. And so she was just excited. And to this day, they use that, and that's become their vibe. It's become their, people recognize them with it. So for me, it's just fun to see the excitement from people, because as you said, Scott, music is, everyone relates to music, and everyone can connect with music. And so part of what I think I bring to people is my experience and my creativity and the ability to connect what they're doing to some type of audio. And it doesn't have to be a jingle. as you, Russ, and Scott, you talked about Netflix, that is as much of a sound effect as it is anything else. So it doesn't have to be that. It could be if someone has a podcast about doing construction work, maybe we take some saws and drill noises, and out of that we create a cool musical thing that's interesting. And so when people hear those, they relate that to them. So I think that's one thing that people have liked about working with me, is the creativity and the experience of kind of being able to say, I think this is something that will grab people's attention. I think this is something that will fit you, and let's marry that together, I guess, is what I'm long-winded answer to your question.
I love it.
Yeah, me too, Mark. And from the minute we talked to you, you've got just such a great energy, great spirit. Love working with you, and being just so grateful to have you as our friend. And we're just thankful for today. But guess what? I've got to be the responsible host, and we're wrapping things up here faster than I would like, but that's the way it goes. So we would like you to give us your gold nugget of today. What you really want people to remember from our conversation, and tell everybody how they get in touch with you so they can reach out for more.
Sure. First of all, I want to thank you guys for having me. It's an honor to be here with you, and I appreciate the time with you. Takeaway is don't be afraid to get out of the box. Don't be afraid to change, what you're doing, and try things to always make things better and work. If you're interested in getting information from me, you can always go to the website, if you're a podcaster, called podcastproductionmusic.com. And on that site, you can contact me. You can set up an appointment with me. You can hear demos and samples, get pricing, and kind of find out what's going on. There's also generic productions on there. If you're someone that needs something, you don't have a budget, that you can use, that is professional, even though it may not be a particular brand to your show. And that would be the best way to get in touch with me. If anything else musically, you can still reach me through that website, as far as if you need something done for marketing or for radio or anything like that.
Awesome. That is so great. Well, Mark, listen, we're going to have to do this again. It's so much fun having you on. So much great value, and just love what you're all about. So we're going to say goodbye for today, though, on screen. Hang tight in the green room, though, as Scott and I wrap things up, okay?
Sure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Talk to you in a minute.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. All right. See ya.
So I'm going to just let people know that they can go to podfestexpo.com and check out the tickets. Join us in Orlando coming up in January 2027. Plenty of time to plan for that. Get your tickets, show up. It is referred to as the Pod Fam, because this is a true community. And then they have events that travel around the country, around the world. I encourage people, become a part of the PodFest community, and please join us. And you can attend then. Mark's going to be giving a presentation at PodFest in January 2027. So now's the time to buy your tickets.
Absolutely. So much fun. Wow. So many great connections. We have just been over blessed. I don't know if that's possible, but we have been so blessed by all the people there. And Scott, I'm so grateful for you. Just want to remind everybody, we're here every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, 9 a.m. Texas Standard Time. That's Central. And we're here live, but then it sits on LinkedIn, YouTube forever, and Facebook for 30 days. After that, it converts to audio podcast. If you don't have time to watch, listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, whatever your favorite podcast platform is, we're probably there. So thank you so much for being here again today. Don't forget, for more information about Scott and I, go to local.theexperience.video. Local.theexperience.video gives you everything you need, and straight to our YouTube page at theexperience.video. Please subscribe today. We'd love to have you as part of our community there. And with that, we're going to say goodbye for another amazing week. And until we see you next time, enjoy your life and
enjoy the experience.
There you go. All right. See you, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in to The Experience live with Russ and Scott. If you enjoyed today's show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or subscribe on YouTube. See you next time.